From the brand new Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas, it's Texas Football Today, a show that paid the internet bill. My name is Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live at TexasFootball.com, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, some other platform I've never heard of, or you're listening to us on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support the little internet show that could. I am sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. They call her the Duchess of the Dorks. She's Miss 305. It's Ashley Pickle. Hi, Ashley.
Hey, there's another member of our crew here that was really feeling the Duchess of the Dorks comment.
Well, listen, when we're right, we're
Boom.
right. And sitting to my right is the
suit guy.
Suit guy, yeah. Sport coat Mike.
Suit guy now.
Yeah,
Craven.
The man writes a cover story and suddenly shows up in a sport coat. He's Mike Craven, senior writer for Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Hello, Michael.
Feeling powerful, feeling pretty good. I may start being the suit guy that I advertised myself to become.
Let me tell you something. As somebody, as you get older, you start to feel like, can I dress like I did when I was 22? The answer is yes. Don't let people tell you what to do. But also, there is a certain value of put on a coat, you're like, people start listening to me.
I'm going to go ask for a loan after this.
Absolutely right. Yeah, I'm going to go see what Fannie Mae's got cooking. Mm-hmm. Today is Tuesday?
Yep. Wednesday.
Thanks.
Tuesday.
No. Tuesday.
Close.
Tuesday, June 4th, 2024. It is a number of days until Thanksgiving. I had this up at some point. It's 177 days until Thanksgiving. Happy birthday to Al B. Shore. Al B. Shore turns 65 today. Or, I don't know, TJ Miller. Skip Marley's birthday is today. I don't know, right? George III. Happy birthday to George III, wherever he's celebrating that birthday. It's episode 1778. On today's show, folks, we're talking about the 2024 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. We revealed the covers yesterday, and now we're going to talk to the two folks who wrote the cover stories for the 2024 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Going to talk with Mike Craven momentarily about the main cover story, featuring Texas versus Texas A&M and the tact that he took on it. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. In the back half of the show, we'll be joined by Carter Yates, who wrote the gatefold feature about Gary Joseph and Jeff Joseph, the Katy and Port Neches Groves coaches respectively. I did that thing. That's smart people do that. Yeah. They do the respectively thing. Yeah. I'm trying to figure it out here on this show, so we appreciate you spending part of your day with us. Pickle, do we have first four through the door?
We sure do. It was Daniel Agnew, jersey number 69, nice. TJ Hudson, and Bob in Champions. Welcome in, fellas.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate you spending a little bit of your day with us. We are joined by Mike Craven, here from Austin. Thanks for driving up.
Of course.
How was the weather on the way up?
It was fine until I got here. Apparently, y'all are hoarding all the rain. We could use some in Central Texas. I know where Pickle and I are from are in some drought, so if y'all want to send that south, we'll take it.
I hate calling my parents and telling them, it is storming again. And they're like, can we please have one or two of those? I was like, I will gladly pass them down to you.
Send them our way.
Yeah, we got to spread the love a little bit because Lano and Bertram are hurting.
They are.
Yesterday we revealed the covers of the 2024 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, including the main cover, featuring Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers and Texas A&M quarterback Connor Wigman. And the man who wrote the main feature for the 2024 summer edition is sitting to my right, Mike Craven. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the writing process here, because this is a challenging story to write, but not for any reason other than this story's been written a million different ways by a million different people. So I'm curious as to how you decided to attack a story as dense, but also as comprehensively covered as Texas versus Texas A&M.
Yeah, I think the key part to a good story is a beginning, middle, and end. And so it's deciding where are you going to start, where are you going to go, where are you going to finish. And so for me, it was let's try to do the 120 years as best as we can, right? Let's go to the very beginning, the first time they played. What was that like? How did that come about? How much did it cost to go? Just everything you would want to know about that first game. What happened in the middle part of the series, right? From R.C. Slocum to Homer Norton to Dana X Bible, right? What was that middle part? And then what is the new part going to be, right? What is the Quinn Ewers, Connor Wigman, this new era of the rivalry going to be? What does it mean to those guys? And so I tried to go very beginning, try to cover the series and what happened, between the first game and the last game, and then what is going to happen 179 days, because it's 2 days after Thanksgiving, right? So 179 days from now, what is that going to be like, and what do the combatants in the arena, what do they even know about that game? Because when it went away, Quinn Ewers was 9, 10 years old, right? So like, what were their memories of it? So going from talking to R.C. Slocum and Matt Brown about the rivalry, to Quinn Ewers and Connor Wigman about the rivalry are two different vantage points. And so it was just trying to figure that out and then slice it down to 2,500 words. Because as you know, 2,500 words sounds like a lot. And then you start trying to tell a story like this one, and it's, I have to select the 2,500 words. So it was enough to write a book about. There are books about it. I read them in preparation of this. It was trying to fit as much of the story into the 2,500 words as I could.
That's I think a challenging thing, and speaking as a guy who's done a little bit of writing himself, that is always that's a perfect way to put it, is you get the word count and you go, oh man, I got plenty of space to breathe. And then once you set the stage, even once you just set the stakes here, then you're like, oh, it's half gone.
Yes.
Because, and especially with a story as dense as Texas versus Texas A&M, and also a story that means so much to so many people, that I have to imagine that from your perspective, writing this story for the magazine of record in the state of Texas about the rivalry of record in the state of Texas, there has to be a little bit of, I know we feel this way about selecting the cover and stuff we do in the magazine, there's pressure to make sure you do it right too.
Yeah, this was my 6th cover story for you guys throughout my history kind of working here, right? And the previous 5 were about a person or 2 people. The Jeff Traylor, Joey McGuire one, or the Sonny Dykes, or the Rising Magazine stuff, or back in the day, the Ellinger Inside Fold. And so this was the first one that was about a broader topic. And to your point, I thought that was going to be less pressure. Because you got a lot of pressure not making Joey McGuire mad, or Jeff Traylor mad, or Sonny Dykes mad, or DJ Hicks.
Yeah.
That's not somebody you want chasing after you, right? And so, but in those, you only really have the family and that person that you're adhering to, right? For this story, it's everybody. And this was a big deal for me. Like, my grandfather was the rehab specialist, the team doctor for UT my whole life. Like, my whole Thanksgiving was dictated by this game. Like, we didn't have a normal Thanksgiving. We did it the day before because he was going to be busy all day, right? And so the last 12 years, he hadn't known how to hang out with us because he's had to be around us on Thanksgiving. So I feel like I spent my whole life preparing to write this story, and that's kind of where the pressure comes from, is getting it right, not missing something that's obvious, and having so many people read it from so many different vantage points, and to feel like you gave it a fair shot from the Texas side and from the A&M side.
Yeah, because that's another thing, is that, like, this is a story about two, not just a rivalry, but also 2 distinct programs. And I know that one of the ways that you kind of attacked it, not to spoil, I hope you will pick up the 2024 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, but you also approached it from like this is not about 11 guys from Texas A&M playing 11 guys from Texas. There's a lot of meaning tied up in this. There's a lot of like coding tied up in this, and there's a lot of bigger than the game. I think that's a cliche thing to say, but at the same time, when you take a look at what Texas and Texas A&M not just play on the field, but what they represent, it gets even bigger and more dense and kind of more complicated.
Yeah, I mean, it's rural versus urban, right? And the initial part of this thing is A&M was the farmer school and Texas was the lawyer school, right? And the Texas grads are picking which wars to go to, and the A&M Aggies are fighting those wars, right? There's always been, the Puff Fund. Texas is getting 2/3 of it. A&M's getting 1/3 of it. There's always kind of been this push and take between them. I'm from a family that was mostly Longhorns, but I had a couple uncles that went to SMU. They had a preference, right? You either identified a little bit on the Texas side or you identified on the A&M side. R.C. Slocum gave me a great quote that made it into the piece about how, he didn't have to tell his football team anything that week. He would just walk in front of them and go, hey guys, from the biggest buildings in Dallas to the largest oil fields in West Texas, right? They're talking about this game, right? Like, you're playing this game for those people. And so trying to write a story that got that across, that the culture war has always existed in Texas. It was just Texas versus Texas A&M, and you pick your side and you go to battle.
I do want to ask you, and again, it's Mike Craven talking about the main cover story in the 2024 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Get yours today. Go ahead, go to texasfootball.com/subscribe. Not today, but you can order it and we'll mail it to you when they're off the press. They're being printed right now. All that's to say, you talked about, we know what it means to Mac Brown. We know what it means to R.C. Slocum. We know what it means talking to Aggies and Longhorns of a certain age, let's just say. But in talking with Quinn Ewers and in talking with Connor Wigman and talking with people who are going to be on there, do you get a sense of like what this new era of is going to look like? Because college football, even in just the 12 years they haven't played, is so fundamentally different than it was in 2011. Do you get a feeling in talking with those guys that this rivalry resonates in the same way?
You know, that's a great question. I don't think that they see it like Ohio State, Michigan in terms of hatred, or Alabama, Auburn even, or Texas, Oklahoma, right? Like, I think it's more of a friendly bragging rights rivalry between those. Because take Quinn and Connor, for example. Like, they've known each other for 10 years. They've been going to camps together. They've been playing 7-on-7 together. They've been competing at the Elite 11 together. And that's true for all these guys. Like, most of the stars on the A&M football team have taken pictures on recruiting visits in Texas uniforms.
Yes.
Most of the stars on the Texas roster have taken recruiting visits and taken pictures in A&M jerseys. A lot of times those were the two schools they were down to. Mm-hmm. And so I just don't know if it's the same as it was in the 80s or the 90s to like my dad and my grandfather's generation. I think for this new generation, it's about the state, it's about bragging rights, and you know people that went there. Right, like Texas is going to walk into the SEC and play Georgia. Mm-hmm. Well, Quinn Ewers probably didn't go to school with many Georgia Bulldogs, but he went to school with a bunch of Aggies. Mm-hmm. You know, and so I think there's just a layer to that in this state where, you know, at Thanksgiving you're sitting at a table with a couple Longhorns and a couple Aggies, mm-hmm. right? And that's been true if the game existed or if the game didn't exist. I think now it's just going to give stakes back to those conversations, some bragging rights, social media, but I think the young guys get it. They know that what it was taken from them. And for those two specifically, they grew up wanting to do this. Mm-hmm. Like Connor Wigman wanted to be the quarterback at A&M. Quinn Ewers wanted to be the quarterback at Texas, and now they're going to be when they play each other for the first time. I think they both understand just the gravity of that and how cool it is to do that.
Yeah. You going to go to the game?
I'm gonna go to the game. As long as they allow me inside, I'm gonna go to the game.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I was excited about this magazine feature is like, oh, well, now they have to let me.
That's the guy that did the story.
Right. Yeah,
that's Mike. Yeah, Mike's in.
Yeah, they got a credential.
Yeah, exactly right.
So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, he's Mike Craven. You can see his fine work as always on TexasFootball.com, and you can, of course, listen to read his fine work in the 2024 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Mike, appreciate your time. Please go give that microphone to Carter.
Yep, can do.
We're Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. We've been talking a lot about this magazine, 2024 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and I know what you're asking yourself. You're saying, hey, self, how do I get my hands on the 2024 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football? I have great news for you. You can go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe. We will mail you that bad boy before it hits newsstands. TexasFootball.com/subscribe. You get the 2024 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football plus 2 other magazines as part of your year-long subscription. You also get a year of Dave Campbell's Texan Live, our streaming platform. More than 1,500 live Texas high school events, including hundreds and hundreds of live Texas high school football games, including hundreds of live Texas high school football playoff games on your device, streaming as part of your subscription. So you get the magazine, and then you also get the games.
It's the Jelly of the Month Club. It just keeps giving.
It is. You get the boysenberry, and then you also get the name another obscure berry, Pickle.
Oh, goodness. I'm not up to date on my berries. That's a lack. That's a lack on my part. I'll get better.
TexasFootball.com/subscribe. It's the Jelly of the Month Club of football. Give it to your loved one for Father's Day. Coming up here in just a moment, Carter Yates tells us all about his gatefold feature on Jeff Joseph and Gary Joseph. But first, a word from these valued partners.
I feel like bustin' loose, bustin' loose. Come on, get on up. Oh yeah, get on up. Bustin' loose when you wanna sing. Bustin' loose, baby, do your thing. Talking about bustin' loose, yeah.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Potter, Executive Director of Be Well Texas. Too many people are struggling alone these days, and alcohol and drug deaths are increasing. We started Be Well Texas to offer high-quality, science-based addiction treatment and recovery services anywhere, even at home. We provide compassionate, caring support virtually or in person. In many cases, there is no cost for treatment if you don't have insurance. Really. Welcome to Be Well Texas. We're glad you're here.
Wing is the largest residential drone delivery provider in the world, delivering to your home in less than 30 minutes. Order using an app just like other popular delivery services, and Wing's automated drone takes care of the rest. It's fast, safe, and sustainable, and it's now delivering to parts of Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas. You can learn more at wing.com/TexasFootball. Again, that's wing.com/TexasFootball.
Back here on Texas Football Today, I'm Greg, that's Ashley. Sitting in this chair used to be Mike Craven, but we have, through the miracle of television, transformed him into Carter Yates, writer for Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Hi, Carter.
How are you, Greg?
I'm great, man. Thanks for joining us, which you are contractually obligated to do by writing the 2024 Gatefold feature of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, but thanks.
Well, I appreciate it.
Okay, so you wrote the Gatefold feature featuring Gary Joseph and Jeff Joseph. Gary Joseph, of course, a legendary Katy coach, and his son Jeff Joseph, the now state champion head coach at Port Neches Groves. So when we approached you, and I'll use the royal we, it was really me, I approached you and I said, hey, we want you to write the Gatefold feature. We want it to be about Gary Joseph and Jeff Joseph. I'm curious what your initial thoughts were about taking on this challenge, which is, it's your first cover story and it's a substantive one.
Well, one, honored. Grew up reading this magazine like most everyone who grew up in Texas loving high school football. So I knew when I was having the opportunity to work on the cover story, it was going to take months of preparation, and I didn't take it lightly. Now, I'm a DFW guy, so I wasn't personally aware of Gary and Jeff Joseph, but from what I heard about them, larger than life figures in Texas high school football. One, for their accomplishments, but also for how stern Gary is what I heard about. And when Mallory released that Gatefold cover shoot video, and great job by her, but we were looking at the video and there was discussion amongst ourselves like, should we include the part of Gary Joseph saying, I didn't want to do this magazine?
Yeah.
At the start of it. And some were like, oh, it sounds negative, and I thought it sounded endearing because my first interactions with Gary were, I didn't think I was deserving of this magazine. And when I talked to Jeff Joseph, he said, I thought it was weird y'all put me on the magazine. And as journalists, I think we kind of have a high BS meter, like, being fake humble. And that's not what happened. That's not them at all. They truly have accomplished so much, but never look for the accolades on that.
Yeah, it's so interesting because, like, for Gary Joseph, let's start with him for a moment. Gary Joseph, of course, a legendary coach at Katy, he said that same thing to me. He's like, oh, well, there's a lot more deserving people than me to go on there. I'll do it because I want Jeff to be on it, his son. Gary Joseph is 265-26 as a Texas high school football head coach.
Seems good.
Okay, 265-26 in 20 seasons as Katy's head coach. And yet, like, I'm curious, when you sat down on the phone and you talked with Gary, actually, no, in person, you went down to Katy and you observed him coaching and you observed him running practice. When you sat down with him and talked with him, like, what were your impressions? As somebody, I've known Gary Joseph for a while. This was kind of your first foray into the Tigers den, so to speak. What were your impressions?
Well, really, he walked around and did not say much. I mean, Katy High School, the off-season program, is a well-oiled machine. So he didn't have to say much. He gathered the team for a meeting, and I was standing on the outskirts of the team huddle, and I couldn't hear what he was saying. He's a quiet, very soft-spoken. He gets on the football field and in the game, and that huge personality he has comes out. But it just showed me how you change throughout your coaching career. Like the Gary Joseph that takes over at Katy, not takes over, but is the defensive coordinator at Katy in 1982 is far different in coaching mentality and style than the Gary Joseph that there is now. But he is the same. He is the same guy. And I think he is able to do this now because the program almost runs itself, where you walk in the field house and it's 9 state championship trophies, it's NFL jerseys of former alums hanging there, and it's like he is Katy football. So he doesn't need to be the loud screaming type as much anymore.
It is. It's remarkable the success he's had there. And to your point, he's a guy, like I'll never forget, this was a couple of years ago, we went down, I think it was when he was going to the THSCA Hall of Honor. And the Pickle, I think you were there.
I was.
We were shooting videos, and like everyone, you were supposed to, the inductee was supposed to come, they were supposed to bring like 2 other people to help, like to talk about the inductee, like as color about for these videos we were shooting. So we go in there, and then walks Gary Joseph in exactly like that, where he's wearing his red Katy polo and his khakis. And in walk 2 assistants wearing red Katy polos and khakis. I mean, it is a machine what he's built there. Yep. And I think that is what makes, obviously, his success remarkable. And now with Jeff Joseph and him becoming, let's be honest, one of the rising stars in Texas high school football coaching these days, how much in your interactions with Jeff, what similarities, what differences, how do you draw those 2 guys, the father and son, apart in their styles?
So a big theme of the story is, because we talk about Eddie Joseph too, who was the president of the THSCA, Gary's father. Gary and Eddie are clones, right? They're the drill sergeants. They are stern. They are no nonsense. They have no hobbies other than coaching and parenting. Jeff Joseph has always been a little more like his mother in terms of he has traveled to 30 different countries. He's a big hunter, fisherman, like outdoorsman. So I'd say Jeff on the surface is a little more chill when you talk to him. And then I spent 2 days at P&G's off-season program, and he would run around not like yelling like Gary, like not a big yeller, but if you walked from drill to drill, that fire ignited.
Yeah.
Or there was 3 black Nike shoes left out after practice the last day, and the kids had to run 3 times down and back on the football field because of 3 pairs of shoes left out. So there's flashes of Gary that he has, and you see kind of why they're so successful, because P&G just won their first state championship since 1975, and they're worried about black Nike shoes left outside.
Yeah. It's a remarkable story, and I really hope people will pick it up. When you got to the end and you got done with all your interviews and got done with that, I'm curious if there was anything that surprised you. If there's anything that, like, when you were going through that you found that maybe you had a preconceived notion of what you were about to learn that surprised you by the time you got to the end of it.
It's a really good question, Tepper.
Thanks, guys.
Hard-hitting journalism.
Professional journalist, capital J. I have a newspaper journalism degree on purpose.
That's a brag.
So I talked to a lot of people in and around the Katy program. I talked to former players. I talked to former principals that became the stadium announcers. And what I was surprised about was almost how highly everyone spoke of Gary Joseph. And usually when you talk to former players, like, oh, you know, coaches, he was very intimidating, right? And it seems like there's nothing but nice things that everyone around this community has to say about this man and this family. And I would also say I'm surprised by how Gary Joseph almost seemed more excited for his son winning the state championship than he was winning the state championship. We have a picture in the magazine that runs. It's one of my favorite pictures, I think. And I hope that comes across in the story.
It was. It's so for a guy who is careful and intentional with his emotions, generally speaking. I mean, I've seen him raise state championship trophies at Katy, and I mean, he didn't have tears in his eyes then. But when Jeff did it at P&G, it was a different ballgame. It was a different ballgame, and I'll just speak as a father. Like, I absolutely get that. Like, I can totally see that. I am glad that he agreed to do the cover shoot.
I'm very glad.
I know that it was there was some touch and go thing about doing that, but now I understand. So the cover's a tightly kept secret, but we saw Jeff Joseph. Pickle, back me up on this.
Yeah.
At the Hall of Fame.
I showed
Texas
him.
High School Hall of Fame. We showed him the cover, and his response was pretty good.
He was very pumped, very pumped. I looked at him and he came over to say hi and kind of dap us up, and I was like, "You want to see something real fast?" I was like, "But you can't tell anybody that you saw this." And he goes, yo, that's sick.
Yeah.
And so I haven't seen Gary's reaction yet. I'm sure it was much in Gary fashion. Like, you look good, son. And then that was probably it. But Jeff was pumped about it.
It's always an honor to put together the high school, or the gatefold cover, which usually goes to high school. Because we do have so many different options, like because of the there's so many different stories we can tell, but this felt like the right one. The other thing about it that I think is great is that you want to talk about two big crazy fan bases.
Yep.
PNG folks and Katy folks.
They love them some football.
They're gonna be blowing up your Twitter. It's at Carter_Yates, I think, on Twitter, right?
16
on Twitter. So make sure you blow him up.
Was that your number when you were a quarterback? Please tell me yes.
No, that was my number in Little League football.
Oh, even better.
Oh, that rocks.
Pee-wee football, Carter Yates.
But here's the other thing. Another reason why I think that you vibe with Gary Joseph a lot. You were a quarterback at Frisco.
Yep.
What kind of offense were you guys running?
Wing T.
You're running a wing T. Gary Joseph's offense, now he's a defensive guy, to be clear, but his offense has not changed in 20 years. Okay?
Run the darn ball.
Single back, we're going to run the ball, and then they're going to be, I swear, Katie's the best play action team in America. When they pull it, it's just like they've got dudes running free because you have to load up against it. And I felt like Oz is a good fit for a guy who ran a wing T offense.
The running joke in the program is that the players from 40 years ago could still call the plays.
Yeah, I have no doubt about it.
I saw a lot of similarities between Gary Joseph and my old high school head football coach.
Absolutely. He's Carter Yates. You can read his fine work on TexasFootball.com, and of course, the Gatefold feature of the 2024 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, featuring Gary Joseph and Jeff Joseph from Katy and Port Neches Groves, respectively. And you can get your copy of the 2024 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football by going to TexasFootball.com/subscribe. It would make Carter and his parents very happy if you did. Is that true?
Very happy.
Yeah, okay, they make them very happy. So do it for Carter and his parents. Let's go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment. Final thoughts.
I think that's all she wrote. Whoa. I'm so excited. We got lunch brought in today, so I'm like super excited for the lunch. So I think I was like, oh yeah.
It doesn't take much.
No, it really doesn't. But no, we're super excited about the magazine coming out. I think if we want to tease this, we're going to kind of start rolling out a little bit of content from the magazine.
Yeah.
Not too much, because we want you to go to Dave Campbell's, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe. But I think there are some fun little hints that we're going to start giving out here soon.
Yeah, so make sure you keep an eye on our socials and on TexasFootball.com for all that fun stuff. And then also, I guess I should tell you that as long as you subscribe by the end of June, you should get it before it hits newsstands. Is that right? Yeah.
Yes, by the end of June.
Call it like June 25th. If you subscribe by June 25th, you'll get the magazine before it hits newsstands. Otherwise, it's going to come out on store shelves around July 4th.
And seriously, great Father's Day present.
Yes.
Great
Oh my
Father's Day
gosh.
present. I almost don't even have to give LP a gift because he's a subscriber, like a smart human.
Yeah. I do think it's weird that we make our parents pay for a subscription to our job.
LP's pumped to do it.
But I ain't afraid of it. I got to pay a mortgage note. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Thanks again to Carter Yates, presently exiting the studio while we're still on the air. Thanks, Carter.
You didn't want me to say.
That's fine. You're doing great, buddy.
His voice can travel without a microphone.
And Mike Craven for being our guest. For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please meet your Player of the Year trophy. We'll see you tomorrow on Texas Football Today.